The Arctic, once a distant frontier, has become a hotbed of geopolitical intrigue. At the heart of this new great game lies Greenland, the world's largest island, and its vast, untapped resources. In a move that surprised many, former U.S. President Donald Trump has reignited his interest in acquiring Greenland, a move that has sent ripples across the international community. Trump's renewed interest, first sparked in 2019, is fueled by a potent cocktail of economic and strategic ambitions. Greenland's mineral wealth, particularly its reserves of rare earth elements crucial for modern technology, has caught the attention of many global players, including China. Trump, known for his America First policies, sees Greenland's resources as a key to reducing U.S. dependence on China and bolstering domestic industries. The island's strategic location, sitting astride vital sea lanes and offering a vantage point for monitoring both Russia and China, adds another layer to Trump's calculus. Trump's pursuit of Greenland is not merely about securing resources or projecting power, it's also about legacy. Acquiring Greenland, a territory larger than Alaska, would be a historic feat, cementing Trump's image as a dealmaker and a shaper of the world order. However, this ambition faces significant hurdles, not least the resolute opposition of Greenland's people and government. Trump's Greenland Gambit cannot be viewed in isolation. It's inextricably linked to the larger geopolitical chess game unfolding in the Arctic, where China has emerged as a major player. China, despite its geographical distance, has declared itself a near-Arctic state and has been steadily expanding its footprint in the region. Chinese companies have invested heavily in infrastructure projects in the Russian Arctic, including ports and LNG terminals. Beijing has also ramped up its scientific research in the Arctic, deploying icebreakers and establishing research stations. This growing presence has not gone unnoticed in Washington, where policymakers view China's Arctic ambitions with suspicion. China's interest in the Arctic is multifaceted. Access to new shipping routes made possible by melting ice could significantly shorten transit times between Asia and Europe. The Arctic's untapped resources, including oil, gas, and minerals, are also a major draw for China, which is heavily reliant on imports to fuel its economic engine. Furthermore, China sees the Arctic as a potential arena for expanding its military presence and challenging U.S. dominance in the region. Greenland finds itself at the epicenter of this intensifying rivalry between the U.S. and China. Its geographical location, coupled with its vast mineral wealth, has transformed the island into a coveted prize in the new Cold War. Greenland possesses significant deposits of rare earth elements, essential components in everything from smartphones to electric vehicles and wind turbines. These minerals are also crucial for defense applications, including guidance systems for missiles and lasers. China currently dominates the global rare earths market, and the prospect of Greenland's resources falling under Chinese control is a worrying scenario for the U.S. and its allies. Beyond rare earths, Greenland also holds potential reserves of oil, gas, uranium, and other minerals, making it a geological treasure trove waiting to be unlocked. The melting of the Arctic ice cap, a consequence of climate change, has further amplified Greenland's strategic significance. New shipping routes are opening up, potentially reshaping global trade patterns and creating new opportunities for resource extraction. Greenland, with its long coastline and proximity to these emerging sea lanes, stands to benefit from this transformation. However, it also faces the challenge of managing the environmental impact of increased shipping traffic and resource development. While Trump may view Greenland as a potential acquisition, the island's people and its government have made it abundantly clear that they are not interested in being bought. Greenland's Prime Minister, Knut Ejid, has repeatedly stated that Greenland is not for sale. This sentiment is echoed by a large majority of Greenlanders, who are wary of becoming pawns in a geopolitical game between superpowers. Greenland, though part of the Kingdom of Denmark, has a significant degree of autonomy. It controls its own domestic affairs, including its resources, and any decision on a change in Greenland's status would ultimately rest with the Greenlanders themselves. The Kalaallit, Greenland's indigenous people, who make up the majority of the island's population, have been particularly vocal in their opposition to Trump's proposal. They fear that Trump's interest in Greenland is primarily driven by a desire to exploit its resources, without regard for the environmental and cultural consequences. The Kalaallit have a deep connection to their land, and are determined to protect their way of life from outside interference. Their resistance to Trump's overture is a powerful reminder that Greenland is not simply a piece of real estate but a nation with its own identity, aspirations, and right to self-determination. Trump's approach to Greenland has not been without controversy. His rhetoric, often characterized by brash pronouncements and a disregard for diplomatic norms, has raised eyebrows and fueled accusations of neo-imperialism. His initial suggestion of purchasing Greenland in 2019 was met with incredulity and derision from many quarters. Critics pointed out the absurdity of a 21st-century leader talking about buying a sovereign nation as if it were a piece of property. Trump's subsequent actions, including the dispatch of a diplomatic envoy to Greenland and the cancellation of a state visit to Denmark after Copenhagen's refusal to entertain his proposal, further exacerbated tensions. Trump's approach to Greenland has been compared to historical instances of colonialism and imperialism, where powerful nations sought to expand their territories and influence at the expense of weaker ones. His rhetoric, with its emphasis on Greenland's strategic value and resource potential, has evoked uncomfortable memories of a bygone era when such language was used to justify conquest and exploitation. This approach, critics argue, is not only morally reprehensible but also counterproductive, as it alienates potential partners and undermines the very alliances that the U.S. needs to counter China's growing influence. Section 6. A gambit or a gamble? Expert opinions on Trump's Greenland strategy. Trump's Greenland gambit has sparked debate among experts. Some see it as a strategic move, while others view it as reckless. Proponents argue it's crucial to counter China in the Arctic. Critics question its feasibility and diplomatic impact. Section 7. The Arctic Tightrope: Balancing Security and Cooperation in a Changing Region. The Arctic is facing unprecedented challenges and opportunities driven by climate change, geopolitical competition, and the aspirations of its inhabitants. Navigating this complex landscape requires a delicate balancing act, one that prioritizes cooperation and sustainability, while also safeguarding national interests. The U.S., as an Arctic nation, has a vital role to play in shaping the future of the region. However, Trump's approach, characterized by unilateralism and transactional diplomacy, has strained relations with key Arctic partners, including Canada, Denmark, and Norway. These countries, while sharing some of the U.S.'s concerns about China's growing influence, are wary of being drawn into a new Cold War in the Arctic. They recognize that the region's future depends on cooperation, not confrontation. The U.S., under the Biden administration, has signaled a shift in its Arctic policy, emphasizing diplomacy, multilateralism, and a commitment to addressing climate change. However, repairing the damage done by Trump's rhetoric and actions will require time and sustained effort. The U.S. must demonstrate its commitment to the Arctic as a region of peace, cooperation, and sustainable development, not just as a battleground for geopolitical competition. Section 8. The Indigenous Voice, the Kalaallit, and the Future of Greenland. In the midst of this geopolitical maneuvering, it's crucial to remember that the Arctic is not an empty expanse, but a homeland to millions of people, including the Kalaallit of Greenland. The Kalaallit, like other indigenous peoples around the world, have a deep connection to their land, and have lived in harmony with the Arctic environment for centuries. Their traditional knowledge and practices hold valuable lessons for navigating the challenges of climate change and sustainable development. Any discussion about the future of the Arctic, including Greenland, must prioritize the voices and perspectives of indigenous peoples. Their rights, interests, and aspirations must be at the forefront of any decision-making process. The Kalaallit have made it clear that they will not be passive bystanders in their own destiny. They are actively engaged in shaping Greenland's future, advocating for greater autonomy, responsible resource development, and the preservation of their cultural heritage. Their resilience and determination serve as an inspiration to indigenous communities worldwide. The international community has a responsibility to support the Kalaallit and other Arctic indigenous peoples in their efforts to protect their rights, preserve their cultures, and thrive in a rapidly changing world. Section 9. A new Cold War or a passing storm? The long-term implications of Trump's Arctic push. Trump's interest in Greenland has shaken the Arctic's geopolitical landscape. Will this be a defining moment or a passing storm? The Arctic faces challenges and opportunities shaping its future. Climate change, Resource competition and geopolitical rivalries could escalate tensions or foster cooperation. Arctic nations' choices will determine the region's future. The stakes are high for the Arctic and the world. The Arctic regulates global climate patterns, with melting ice caps affecting sea levels and weather. The Arctic's resources raise questions about management and benefits. The future of the Arctic is not predetermined. It will be shaped by global decisions and actions. Will we create a peaceful, sustainable, and just future for the Arctic?